Thank you very much for this episode of Interaction on National Issues. And thank you, viewers, for joining in from any part of the world. You know, Reuben Abati's statement that Igbo do not sell land to the outsiders, it's very unfortunate. It's unguarded. And I think it was meant particularly to malign Igbo with very ulterior motive. Let me start. My father was into real estate business. And before the war, a man who was not from my town bought a land, had his documents. After the war, the man did not know where the land was, did not have any documents. They told him my father was the honest man. Now point the land to him. He came to my father with gifts and all those. My father said, no, I remember you. I'll take you to your land anytime you are ready. My father took him to his land. And the man turned out to be a bank manager. And he told my father, so it is really true. We still have honest people. Yeah, he is now going to facilitate a loan for my father to improve his business. And that was how my father took loan from the bank and nationalized his transport business, which helped him to become one of the richest men in the town during our own time, because he sold land to somebody who is not from our town. And so when a man now comes to make statements that he's not versed in, then you will know that he has personal anti-Igbo mentality in his gene. Recall that when Nigeria got its independence, University of Nigeria was sited in Nsukka, my town. And that made it a town that everybody from Nigeria came into the land. And it's because they were accommodated. I was like, you had a lot of Yoruba, Hausa, coming to University of Nigeria. There were 3 universities then. You had University of Ibadan. They named it after Ibadan. You had Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. And then you had University of Nigeria. So would a town, would a people that have been pro-Nigeria from beginning begin to discriminate as to who to sell land to? Would a people whose article in trade is buying and selling begin to discriminate when they want to sell their land? When an Igbo man is dealing in business, he's looking at profit and loss, not where you come from. Now, if Ndi Igbo are doing well in real estate in Lagos and doing well in real estate in Abuja, where did they learn it from? They learned it from dealing in real estate from their own town, from their own place, because that is merely an expansion. You can't give what you don't have. Now, do you sell land to your own people? No. Everybody has land. If you are a man in Igbo land, you're entitled to a plot of land in your own land. So if there was any land sold by Ndi Igbo, it is sold to people who are not Ndi Igbo. And then, how can somebody ignorantly begin to make such statement? Reuben Abati simply celebrated his ignorance publicly. And let me tell you, he offended the legal profession, because in law, you don't condemn a people unheard. You cannot condemn a people without hearing from their side. He just said he borrowed a language from T.O.S. Benson without even knowing the context. And he ran to television and established it and asserted it as a fact. It's against the legal profession. And he condemned Ndi Igbo unheard. what he would have done is to get an Igbo expert to be educated or present him on the studio to talk on behalf of Ndibo. He offended journalistic profession. Is either you are talking as a moderator or as a guest. When you are a moderator, your job is to bring opposing sides, interview two of them. They will give you their views. Then you allow the public to make up their opinion. Or you are a guest, and then you will be interrogated by the moderator, who will now be playing the devil's advocate to ask you cross-examination on the things you claim. But this is a man who just came on air, formed an opinion, and intimidated the journalists around him, and started saying it out without fair hearing and without allowing Ndibo to examine what he's saying, and without allowing any other journalist to cross-examine him. He has displayed absolute hatred, absolute anti-Igbo mentality, and absolute ignorance of both legal and journalistic profession. No wonder Reuben Abati is the first presidential spokesperson that spoke an incumbent president, democratically elected president in Nigeria, to defeat. It has never happened. President Goodluck Jonathan, an incumbent elected, democratically elected government, elected president, Reuben Abati is the first presidential spokesperson to speak him to defeat. And he acknowledged that it was his own ignorance. You know, after the regime of Goodluck Jonathan, he wrote a piece, "Is Aso Villa bewitched?" And he said because he will plan everything and think that what he's going to say is going to make a point, that everybody will love it. And we thought that everybody will turn against what he's saying. No, Aso Villa is not bewitched. The only person that is playing the role of a witch here is Reuben Abati. When he was the presidential spokesperson, he was ignorant of what he was doing. He was incompetent. And then he's blaming witches and wizards. Witches and wizards have suffered in this country. And that was how he spoke his president, incumbent, to defeat. I don't want to remember how the only politician he accepted to be deputy governor to is a man who is internationally, wanted for some drug dealing issues. And this is what a man who is purporting to be a man of integrity, this is the person he agreed to be his deputy governor. As a politician, he has failed woefully and will continue to fail. And he should stop living his disaffection of politics because of his failure, his failure in politics. He should know where to carry such a disappointment to, not to vent his unruly anger on Igbo people. And you know what? They gave him an opportunity to withdraw his statement or make amends. I saw Ojiobe trying to tell him it is not good to use one brush to condemn a people and say he's unapologetic about it. Let him go and look at his ugly face and character in the mirror, and let him know whether Ndibo cares about apologies from such a people, such a creature that has continually failed. If I can remember, it's the name Ndoka that is paying his salaries in Arise Television. If he hates Ndibo like that, doesn't want to have anything to do with anything Igbo, should first of all resign from Arise and stop collecting anything from Ndibo and stop painting the Yoruba in bad light. Let me tell you about the Yoruba. I was in Yoruba land for 17 years. Omo Oluwabini. Let me tell you, who taught me concept of Omo Oluwabi? Professor Babatunde Akin Oyebode. When he saw me in his office the first time, he said, Young man, you have good vibes, or what the Americans call good aura. Yorubas are very accommodating. And he loved me and cherished me all through. Let me tell you about the Yoruba. I've always told people that was the place that we found the largest concentration of Igbo movie actors when we were doing Living in Bondage. And we felt so accommodated in Yoruba land that we were even thinking we were in our homes. Nobody was harassing us. Some of them gave us their houses, and we acted Living in Bondage that started Nollywood that is benefiting everybody. I've acted movies with actors and actresses from Yoruba land. I never picked a quarrel one day from any of them or with any of them. Let me tell you another incident. The first car I bought in my life was Mercedes 230. Remember then? The second one I bought, if you check it there, it's still there, put in tarpaulin, Mercedes 500 S-Class. I was in my house one day when one of my Yoruba brothers came in, a police officer. He said, look, I have just gained admission. I have children. I don't have mobility. You have 2 cars. I think the guy was brilliant. He knew I had become born again. And maybe he knew that in the Bible, they say, if you have 2 coats and your brother doesn't have any, go to him. So when he was saying that, the scripture was playing on my head. And I remembered that the Yorubas love me and I love them in return. I gave him the Mercedes 230 flatboat, the first car I ever bought. He's still alive. He may still be alive. Nice guy, a police guy. They were taking special interest on everything that happened in my house because my house was close to the police station. And I related with him as a brother. Especially when I remembered how Fajui told the people that wanted to kill Aguiyi that you will not take him. They killed him too. When people begin to say Yoruba people are this and that, no. You don't paint a people by the action of a person because that person is not doing it in their name. Whatever Tinubu or a Reuben Abati is doing is not in the name of the Yoruba. It's in their names. We should be holding people personally responsible. Assuming, without even considering. It's one Igbo man that made that comment. Why would you attribute it to the entire Igbo people? If an Igbo person say, I don't want to sell my land to you, why would you go and say, Ndi Igbo, do not sell land to the strangers? How then are they very good astute business people? Let me tell you another thing that happened. For you to know the love I share with the Yoruba. When I went in to read for my master's in international law and diplomacy, all the Yoruba in my class, majority of them, they came together and said, I was going to be their president. I thought they were joking. Because there was an alumnus of University of Lagos that was there who was interested in that post. But they said, no. We have seen in this man, the little days we have been with him, that he has the intellect, the character to be a good leader. Another Igbo man was interested. I went to that Igbo man and said, look, step down for me. Because it's not good for us to go into this divided. Well, I would have stepped down for you. But because it is these Yoruba people that came to me, if I step down for you, they would think I sold the mandate. He refused. And the Yoruba people insisted. Do you know, we went into the election. And they voted for me. And I won. And I used my resources. Then I was sitting pretty sure on some fortune, little fortune as the first actor that acted the first movie that started in Hollywood. I used my little fortune, did so well for them, even had a dinner for them in Sheraton without asking for any annual dues from any of them. It was one good turn deserves another. So when you want to paint the Yoruba in any light, you know what I'm going to tell you? I love the Yoruba and they love me in return. And there is nothing a Reuben Abati and his ugly character and ugly content creation would do about it. Yoruba people are accommodating, they are loving. Both males, both females. I've acted with them on stage, I've dealt with them. I lived in that land for 17 years. I was born in the southeast. So my stardom was born in the southeast. It rose in the southwest. And now it is shining in the north. What a Nigerian. So you can see why I'm in love with southeast, I'm in love with southwest, and I'm in love with the north. Because I have interacted and I have been in all these places and they have blessed me and I will bless them in return at any opportunity. So what Reuben Abati said was unfortunate, uncalled for. He reflected his own anti-Igbo hatred and he will be held accountable. And like he himself said, he said he's unapologetic about it. Just as I am totally unapologetic about what I'm saying about him. One thing he was quoting, it has been established that the man is even an in-law to Igbo people. And the content of it is that when the man wanted to buy land, they told him, no, you are our in-law. We will not sell land to you, we will give you land anytime you want to come to build. So, people's goodness, because of his anti-Igbo posture, is now being misconstrued. The man was actually saying how happy he is being an in-law to Ndigbo. And if you saw Theo Benson, you saw that he continued dressing in a cute form. The wife will make sure that he comes out best with that his, and he was just looking cute until he passed on. And so when you want to talk about it, people, be very careful. He said he doesn't have apologies. Yes, that's how evil people do. But I want to remind you, the evil that men do live after them is in the internet. We will always remember that evil he has spoken and done against Ndigbo until he retraces it and withdraws it. Ndigbo sells lands to anybody that can afford it. Come to my place. I'm the son of a man who dealt in real estate. And once you can afford the money, you have any choice of land you want. We are the custodians of University of Nigeria. Every Nigerian is welcome in our home, even before we were born. The Constitution said the primary duty of a government is the security and welfare of its people. In Nigeria, it's even illegal for you to possess firearms. So a group of people who are non-state actors are terrorizing the southeast. And all the police people are doing, the security agencies, to establish roadblocks from Enugu to Onitsha. 45 minutes drive, you have more than 30 roadblocks. They are roadblocks of extortion. And yet they are saying insecurity in the southeast. How possible? You don't give people, you don't even give a state government the power to defend itself. People are ordered to stay at home. And when any of them comes out, they will be shot down. They will be killed. And you, the government, you are not providing adequate security. And you're blaming the people. Let me ask you, how many times have they blamed Northeast for the insecurity visited on Northeast by the insurgents? How many times have they blamed Northwest for the banditry, for the terrorism, for the robbery, for the insurgency that is going on in the Northwest? Farmers' headers clash in the North Central. In the Southwest, you saw how many traditional rulers have been killed, assassinated. In the South, you still hear about oil thieves. How many times do they blame those citizens for being the cause of the insecurity? And those ignorant men, those incompetent men in government, those anti-Igbo people with anti-Igbo sentiments, they would want to blame Igbo for the insecurity in the southeast. When IPOB started, it was the southeast governors that came together for the first time to prescribe all the activities. No other governors of any of the geopolitical regions have ever done that. Yet they're opening their mouth to say the insecurity in the southeast is caused by the people of southeast. No, it is caused by the incompetence, corruption of the ruling elite. Since 1999, nobody from the southeast had become president or vice president, so how could it have been caused? This insecurity in the southeast is not the worst in Nigeria. So the issue here is that the government should step up its security, not just in the southeast, but all over Nigeria, and take away the causes of the insecurity. And of course, you cannot rule out the fact that poverty is part of what is creating insecurity, because human beings must survive. So the government should improve the socio-economic welfare of Nigerians, and they should make more investment in modern technology of fighting. You don't fight with bayonets or horses anymore. You go on the modern technology and you ensure that you remunerate the security agencies very well, so that they will fight insecurity and we will have peace. Insecurity in the southeast is caused by the same thing that causes insecurity in other parts of the region, and it's the duty of the government, especially in a country where even to possess firearms is illegal, to bring about security in the southeast and around the whole nation. So the cause of it, incompetence and corruption of the government in power. Let me first of all admit that in the archaic laws of the Criminal Code Act and the Penal Code Act that were enacted probably before I was born, you see the sections, maybe section 373 of the Criminal Code Act that governs the southern region, and maybe section 391 of the Penal Code Act. You see traces of criminalizing defamation. However, some states, knowing that some of those provisions were part of what we inherited from the colonial masters, who wanted to shield themselves from the painful pens of the freedom fighters, they now criminalized anybody that will bring their actions to disrepute. And that was the reason for all this defamation, purported as a criminal offense. But when nations saw that criminalizing defamation may stifle free speech, because if you go to the Constitution, section 39, freedom of expression is generously couched to say a man has the right to receive idea and information and has the right to express it the way he deems fit without undue interference. So because of the fear that when you criminalize defamation, it could impinge on the freedom of people to express themselves freely. Because the greatest secret of the success in a democracy is accountability and transparency. So when people are allowed to express themselves freely, they hold the government in power accountable, and the government will become transparent. And that is why they made copious provisions in civil proceeding for any human being that is claiming he's defamed to pursue the civil remedies. So the question now is this: why is Afe Babalola pursuing the criminal remedies? Why don't he pursue the civil remedies? In the civil remedies, the two parties will bring their reasons why they made the comment, and an independent and impartial judge will look at them dispassionately and reach a judgment. In a criminal proceeding, it is no longer an offense against Afe Babalola. It is an offense against the state. And the burden of proof is no longer on Farotimi. The burden of proof is now on the state. And they need to prove it beyond reasonable doubt. Farotimi has the right to remain silent until after the trial without saying anything. So taking him to a criminal court, even in the modern law of Ekiti State, they have jettisoned defamation. I want to presume in their state laws as a crime. Lagos has jettisoned it. Now, I was worried about the statement from Afe Babalola chambers that if Farotimi can prove himself, he will be released. That has actually portrayed them as colluding with the security agencies because it is not in their power to release. So confessing that if Farotimi says this, he will be released, is trying to say that they are in collusion with the security agency, that they have the power to detain him and release him. That's the implication. Confirming our fears that this is an intimidation. Why arrest Farotimi before you conclude your investigation? The Supreme Court has made it clear. You don't arrest a man and run around for investigation. You would have concluded your investigation, then you will arraign him in court. Then why go to court to get a remand order to remand him in prison? You just want to intimidate him and punish him unheard. They were saying that they've invited him to come and he didn't come, and that was why the remand order. Excuse me, before that time, Farotimi granted a press interview that, look, he's hearing, that they know where to get him. They know where to serve him any paper. Meaning he is actually owning up publicly that he has not received any summon or any paper. He said there is a conspiracy. And he said no Nigerian should cry for his freedom. That all Nigerians should insist that they should take him to court. Now, in America, by way of comparative analysis, people are even allowed to make a plea from their house. They will send you the charges and you would state in writing whether you're pleading guilty or not. And if you say you're not guilty, then they will tell you the day you present yourself to court for the commencement of the trial. So a man, you know where he's staying, who does not go to London or America and be tweeting from there like some cowards do. But he has been in Nigeria and told you he's not going to anywhere, and you know where he is. Have you served him any paper personally? If you have, what's the evidence? What they would have done is, if they've been serving him, because there has to be personal service, if he has been rejecting it or avoiding it, you make it public. I did not see any public declaration by the police or any security agency that they have been serving him and he has not been honoring it. Remember Yahaya Bello? EFCC made all the arrest attempts and all the going to court public before they even served a bench warrant. Did you hear that in Farotimi's case? So I suspect conspiracy. And then the Afe Babalola chamber confirmed when they say, if he proves the allegation, sorry, in criminal proceeding, it is the prosecutor that will prove all the allegations beyond reasonable doubt. So if they wanted Farotimi to prove whether what he's saying is true or not, they would have gone through the civil proceeding, where they will now allege defamation. And Farotimi will justify that it is not defamation, that it is the truth. They are the facts. And then they did not go through that procedure. And that is what is making us to conclude reasonably that that is an attempt to intimidate, to frustrate, and manipulate Nigerians and punish Farotimi for his political stand on issues without giving him fair hearing. He said he's a victim of Nigeria. I agree with him. So what they would have done is that they would have filed the charges publicly, told Farotimi, come and defend yourself. He comes to court this day, on the day, defends himself, and then the court will decide. Why remand him? Anytime you start remanding anybody, you've already started punishing him. And nobody has any power to punish anybody except the law court. And every law court is expected to act judiciously and judicially. That a remand order is unjust and is calculated to punish without fair hearing. So, I take Afe Babalola chamber, through the confession of the chamber, that Farotimi, if Farotimi proves himself, he will be released. They have just confirmed our fears that there is a collusion based on that statement between them and the security agencies to punish Farotimi for his stand on issues. And of course, the security agencies are under President Tinubu. President Tinubu, you remember, ordered the release of those children that were illegally detained. So he ought to have immediately ordered the release of Farotimi so that it does not portray his government as using the security agencies to intimidate political opponents. Because that's where I will conclude it on. Because he's a political opponent. And worldwide, anything you do to a political opponent, the people of the world have the right to interpret it that you want to intimidate a political opponent. If you ask me, I would say I believe that this is still an intimidation of political opponents, and they should desist from it. Release Farotimi unconditionally and allow him to have his day in court if they believe that he committed any offense, based on archaic, outdated, purported defamation offense, which is no longer existing in the books of some of the advanced states in Nigeria that do not want to impinge free speech, like Lagos. So it's just a ruse. He's just a victim of Nigeria, as all of us are. Since May 29, 2023, the Senate has always been in a hurry to pass anything that President Tinubu brings to it. As a matter of fact, President Tinubu today, by the confession of a senator, that he never saw the approval of the Senate for the presidential jet of 150 billion naira. I'm quoting Abati. He never saw it on the Senate floor. And they are purporting to say that it was in the budget. And he says he's always around for the plenary, by his own words. So the Senate, what it means that they even preemptively approve whatever is coming to the Senate. Then you can imagine the one that is presented to them. It's a photocopy Senate, not even rubber stamp, photocopy. They are spokespersons, official spokespersons of the president. A tax reform bill that includes pay and VAT, state taxes. And you think you can rush it through without even consulting these people. And when they had a meeting and say, sir, withdraw this first for further consultation. He said, no. You should go on. while you're consulting them. Your own vice president, that's a vote of no confidence on his vice president. There are certain ways you do things in a democracy. You have to give people a sense of belonging. You can't continue with arrogance of power unchecked. This government has had a tradition of not consulting before it brings out policies. Remember, fuel subsidy was gone on the inauguration ground, meaning he did not even consult his wife because they just swore him in. Anything he did before that, he wasn't the president. So they just swore him in. And he started issuing such policies without consulting any human being on earth. He depreciated the naira without a cabinet. He commanded Niger Republic, another country. The junta must step down or face being removed within 7 days. Born in politics, say less and do more. He blocked the whole 7 states of the north without even consulting any governor from there to weigh the cost-benefit analysis. After many months, what did he achieve? Reduction of Nigerians' image in the world community because he was able to carry out none. He did not even consult the Senate that has the approval before you can use the military outside Nigeria before doing the loud boast. So these governments enjoy saying more and doing less. When they were even seeking now the face of the Niger Republic junta, the Niger Republic said, I don't want. Because of lack of consultation. So in these tax reforms in Nigeria is long overdue. I have nothing against it. There are some beautiful provisions. We should carry on in Nigeria based on derivation. Because we want to encourage productivity. You know, I feel very ashamed that the most blessed section in this country, which is the North is the most blessed. All the food we are eating, solid minerals. You can see how they are discovering oil. For such a region to even begin to look at South for survival tells you the level of incompetence and corruption of Nigerian leaders. Because they are so blessed in everything. You know, because they are strategically located between the rainforest of the South and the Sahara from the Sahara Desert. So their land is neither too much in this side or too much in this side. Very, very fertile land without fertilizer. So such a region is the region that will be insisting it must be based on derivation. And they just go to look at their land and bring out the beautiful lithium, gold, flowing like a river in the north. They don't need to catch cold whenever anybody sneezes. Derivation is the best method to encourage productivity, and I support it 100%. Then the tax reform bill, I think section 146, they said VAT will be increased from 7.5% to 10% to 12.5% to 15%. Where? Wickedness. People are dying of heavy loads, paying for increased fuel, paying for increased tariff, paying for increased this and that, paying for increased presidential jet, paying for increased presidential yacht. And they want to again put the burden of increasing VAT, consumption, on the people. Any provision in any tax that increases the burden on Nigeria by 1 kobo is a bad law and should be thrown away. Other countries in the world, they are reducing their VAT. And Nigeria want to increase everything. You know why? So that they can sponsor their lousy, voracious appetite. That is the only reason. Yours riding on presidential jets. You have presidential jets, so just to ride on big one, gold, bloated entrance, clothed, gold-coated entrance. Those countries outside that cut their cloth according to their size, those presidential jets their presidents are using are manufactured by them. You are a borrower of money. You don't have money. Your people are hungry. And you're living a profligate lifestyle. And you want the people to be the one that you will export to pay for all those lifestyles. You have 48 ministers, majority of them doing nothing. And you want Nigerians to be taxed more. So I don't like that provision that says VAT should be increased. Then he should have consulted more and more and more. Democracy is based on dialogue and compromise, at least to give people sense of belonging. Telling the 36 governors and your vice president, go to hell, is not the best way to go in a democracy. So I would have supported consultation so that you would disarm those people who are maybe rightly or wrongly coming against your bill. Because the more you educate people on something, the more aware they are. Some people even went to the extent and said the tax bill is against Sharia and is not existing anywhere. But because of the speed you want to pass it, they'll begin to say there must be something in it. Then some mischievous people will now come and say, this is against Sharia, just to make people to move against it. They say inheritance will be taxed by 24%. How? In my own opinion, it's not existing in the bill. But these are the things that dialogue would have been able to sort out. But I support derivation. I support there should be no increment in taxation on Nigerians. Support the unification of the tax system, because in Nigeria they say there are more than 100 taxes imposed on people. So if it is unified, so that one agent will be collecting the taxes, it makes payment easy. Technology just transfer. Now you have companies income tax, you have personal income tax, you have capital gain tax, you have VAT. You have, each one has different administrative agency. So in your house, you see people come to you, harass you, company income tax, personal income tax, this and that. This bill wants to harmonize so that you have uniform agency collecting these things. And you can pay this thing once and for all, even through technology. So there are very good things about this bill. The lack of consultation gave room for people to manipulate the provisions, either ignorantly or mischievously, to bring the bill to opprobrium. And remember, tax, once people hear tax, they react negatively to it because they feel it's an imposition. They might not even know it might even be a reduction. Then another thing is, you're saying in the tax bill that anybody earning below 800,000 per annum is exempted from tax. And you are the one who puts the minimum wage to be 70,000. 70 times 12 is 840,000. So even the least person that is earning anything is not exempted from the tax. So what sense does it make? These are the things that consultation helps you to do. To point out to you the little embarrassing provisions. Because eventually you give nobody any tax benefit. Because if somebody earning 70,000 will not benefit from it, which is the minimum wage. And minimum wage means that everybody, including even private sector, ought to be paying it. So some provisions have to be tinkered with. That basic minimum should be increased. So that people that are earning should benefit from it. Then any increment of tax should be removed. Then the issue about harmonizing, unifying the administrative processes, very nice. The issue of derivation, very nice. So I support the bill in part. and after due consultation and amendments, it should pass.
Right.
Now, you said something about one party state, because I think you combined the and the role of opposition. If I heard you right, let me tell you something. There are a lot of things I blame the ruling party on, but they are trying to cripple the opposition parties. Is not one of them. It's a legitimate political weapon for any party to spy on and take out any other party that is not serious. It is not APC that should be blamed for what is going on in Labour Party or PDP. It is Labour Party and PDP that should be blamed. Today you have total absence of leadership in Labour Party and you have presence of dubious leadership in PDP. So how do you blame APC for it? Did you see any card-carrying member of APC being the chairman of Labour Party or chairman of PDP? So how do you blame APC for that? When you continue placing blame where it is not, you are trying to justify your failure and give excuses for your not succeeding, meaning you're trying to perpetuate it. Excuses and successes do not go hand in hand. I agree completely that APC has agents that are destabilizing those parties. Do you think they are doing it free of charge? It's the incompetence and corruption of the people in Labour Party and PDP that they are feasting on and exploiting to destabilize them. Look at Labour Party. I heard more than 5 of them defected. Of course, the law is clear. You defect, you lose your seat. But you need a solid political base to be able to bring them to account. Because we are in a country that does not respect the rule of law. So how united and focused you are as a party is what will make you to be able to seek redress. And what they are saying is that they will open a book of shame. Is it the Hall of Shame for them? The people they should open Hall of Shame for are the leaders of that Labour Party. Because they organized purportedly convention without inviting anybody, including me as presidential spokesperson. So who should go into the Hall of Shame? Let me tell you, what you sow is what you get. Absence of leadership in Labour Party. Since the National Assembly members won election and started, how many times have they gone for a retreat? For you as a party to educate them on the ideologies of the party and indoctrinate them that Nigerians voted for them because they wanted a change. How many times? Nature does not exist in a vacuum. So if you leave their brain to be open, then whoever is telling them something, that is the one they will take. Labour Party is made up of the elected people. They are made up of some people who were rejected by the parties and they saw the wave and came to Labour Party to pick forms. And then some other people that were probably used as placeholders, and maybe after the primary they were not changed. Some of them insisted they will not be changed. So when they now won because of the wave, Nigerians wanted something new. You would have taken them in immediately. Because some of them are greenhorns that have never held any political office. Some of them are Okada riders. Some of them are, bricklayers, which is commendable. But you take them in and begin to let them know that no, you're one of the representatives of the people. This is what is expected of you. They left them. And then the predators who are APC, and they are very merciless about it, started feasting on their lack of ideology and started assimilating them to their fold. Look at, that's why there is complete absence of leadership in Labour Party. Then there is dubious leadership in PDP. Immediately, Tinubu brilliantly took Wike After the abracadabra in Rivers State election, where the IRF was saying that Labour Party won, and mutilated results were brought out from different state houses to say that the APC won. They took Wike to be a minister. And PDP did not come out to insist aggressively that Wike should resign from PDP. Immediately that was done, I knew PDP was gone. Because if a man openly campaigned against his party, which I have nothing against because you are free, and then openly took up a position in another government, morality demands that he steps down from his party. You can see the chaos that is going on in Rivers State. You can see the chaos that is going on in PDP. So Wike is a servant of APC because minister means servant. That's why minister, when they say minister of the gospel, minister of God, is a servant of God. Now, PDP is now a servant to Wike. That is why PDP now is a servant of servants. So as long as this present leadership in PDP prevails, it is APC that is governing PDP. And can you imagine how many times they have postponed their neck? So even neck cannot sit. The latest is February. And that February, I don't think they've put a date. So that on maybe 28th of February, they say, sorry, forgot to put date. They have shifted the neck. With any excuse. It is possible the next excuse they will give is that Farotimi was arrested. Let's fight for democracy first. Every excuse. That's dubious leadership. The truth is that they want to bring PDP to moribund so that there won't be any fierce fight for the presidency in 2027. And they are succeeding. But Nigeria is not a banana republic. I'm not always so scared about one-party state because the Nigeria political hemisphere makes it that when it's only one party, you start seeing opposition rising from that same party. You can see APC is practically in this area. They're just using the federal might like PDP used, family affair, to control their crisis. But they are pretty in crisis. You can see what is going on. The governors that say the bill should be withdrawn for more consultation, they are APC governors, predominantly. The vice president that sat on that neck where they lampooned the tax reform bill is APC. You can see the former national vice chairman or so, APC, on Lukman. You can see the one Jesu on Nabasa. You can see his criticism of Tinubu. You can see these are APC members. They are rising. These guys are still going to be blocks of opposition. So in Nigeria, we're so diverse. And I don't think that one-party state will be possible. There could be one party that will be dominant from time to time when there is prevalence of incompetent and corrupt people in the opposition, as I believe there are today. But I believe that from the ashes of these decaying parties, there will be a manure that will become the foundation of the seed of the righteous growing out of the manure of these decaying parties that may germinate a new generation of leaders who will be fed up with all these things and create a very good opposition that will most probably, by the grace of God, form new government in Nigeria. I may not know the time or date, but I know that from what happened in 2023, Nigerians are fed up with the status quo. Look at the election in Ghana. Beautiful. And Yakubu Mahmoud is opening his mouth, commenting on election in Ghana, calling politicians. Politicians would love to rig election even in Ghana. But it is because the electoral officers did the right thing by law. It's a shame. But all these things you're seeing in opposition, in ruling parties, because nobody is sure again of free and fair election. If we had free and fair, credible election in Nigeria, all these things would die naturally. Because every party would want to field capable people, knowing that that is the only criterion that will make them to be voted in by the people. So without it, you'll be seeing all these shenanigans. So with a Professor Mahmoud that will give you technical glitch, you'll be seeing all these shenanigans going on in the political parties. So the foundation of democracy will always be free, fair, credible elections. If we don't have it, we'll continue to see these shenanigans, because they are simply trying to cozy up to the godfathers, to cozy up to the leadership of the party, who are the people that will coronate the leaders, not the people of Nigeria, because their votes don't count. So INEC should be, our electoral laws should be fortified. Then INEC should be fortified for men of integrity to take over that INEC. As long as a Professor Mahmoud and all those ones are in power, it's a sham. Because what happened in Edo State? They are now saying even the back end, by our tenor insights, have been tampered with in beavers. And those Itachi made it clear that anybody going into election under this atmosphere is mad. I said it before that our electoral jurisprudence has been overthrown, and with some judicial connivance, it is dead. So we have to start afresh without a Professor Mahmoud. So that's just the situation we found ourselves.